Let me ask you this. You know what a shared pointer is?
A shared pointer, no.
That alone can eliminate you from almost every C++ interview. Yeah, tell me a bit about yourself. Like, well, what's your background? Are you a student? What's going on?
Yeah. I go to the University of Florida. I'm a third year.
Okay,
I have two internship experiences, but my first 2 years I kind of didn't take university too seriously, and I'm definitely taking the more educational route more serious now.
okay.
I was just curious on any advice on my current career path. I'm currently targeting like big tech, trying to just get like good experience, and yeah, I just
So
wanted to know.
what's your major?
Yeah, I'm computer science.
Okay, so you're in your third year, you said?
Yeah,
And what were your two internships like before?
yeah. So it's actually both at Defense Tech at
Okay,
CACI, similar like a Lockheed Martin, and it was a
okay.
pretty good experience. We just worked in like a full stack project, and
Okay.
uh, and yeah.
What courses have you taken in school?
Yeah, so I just recently took OOP. It was just like a class teaching about like design patterns and stuff.
Okay.
All very high level. I do feel I missed out on. I did take. I took OS. I took computer architecture, and I also took algorithm abstraction. But all those classes I didn't really pay attention to much. So now, like, I kind
Okay.
of feel like a regret. So I definitely am interested in like self studying a lot of
Okay.
this stuff.
I can give you advice there. What language are you most comfortable in?
Yeah, so on my internships, I mainly use Java for the back end, but I definitely do have like a high level like experience, not really too like in depth. I also did fall into the trap of learning a lot of languages and not really diving too deep.
That's a mistake in my opinion. Yeah. Okay. And which you said Java, but essentially nothing else. Like no C. Did you take any courses with C or C plus plus?
Uh, Most of my classes were in C plus plus.
Oh, they were in C plus plus.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Do you know which version of C plus plus you were using?
Mm, Honestly, those are the classes I was just straight, just like GPT, like monkey braining. Like I was literally just trying to just like do the bare minimum to get the good grade.
Okay. When it comes to your fundamental understanding, I mean, you talk about operating systems. What's the smallest addressable unit of memory in an operating system?
The smallest addressable unit of memory.
Yeah.
Uh, I'm honestly not too sure.
So, have you heard of what a byte is?
Oh yeah. Byte bits. Yeah, bits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How many?
I didn't realize that's what. Yeah.
So see, um, putting these terms together is going to be important for you because when some you could so something what I would do in an interview if you didn't really get what I was saying, don't give up too fast. Just be like, hey, can you clarify what you mean, or can you give me an example?
Okay.
Right? Let me ask
Yeah.
you this: how many bits are in a byte?
8.
Okay. Um. Okay. Um. When you worked in C++, I'm assuming in operating systems, I'm assuming you also talked about kind of the different code segments in a program.
Yeah. I honestly I have like forgot like 99% of my C plus plus because I was just like cheesing the whole class essentially.
Yeah, but this is operating systems, not really C++. So like,
Yeah.
for
Oh yeah.
example, so okay, so when you run a program, let's say you run like main.cpp, right? You compile it into some executable and you run it. What are the three primary parts of that program? So I can give you one of them. One of them is the text segment, which is like the code instructions. What are the other two parts?
Is this regarding like a stack and heaps?
Yeah, yeah, that's right. And what's the difference?
A stack is just when it's when the program is being run, it's added to the stack like all like the other variables.
Okay,
But when a memory is needed to be like allocated, it goes into the heap.
okay. And what do you use to allocate heap memory?
What do you use?
Yeah, like in C++,
Like
if you want to allocate memory on the heap, how do you do that?
it, you would use the new keyword.
Okay. Now new does two things. What does new do?
Mm, I would assume it just creates new objects and puts it on the heap. Is that what you're
Well,
getting at?
that's implicit in the name, but
Yeah.
so that's not a great answer, but it does two things in particular. And people with more familiarity with Python might understand this a little more. So what does new do? New does two things in particular, and might be something you can even be asked in like an interview. This might be the question that filters you out, so don't be too nervous.
Yeah, I'm honestly not too sure
Okay.
about that one.
So the first thing new does is allocate memory, and then it initializes the object in that allocated memory. Have you heard? Let me ask you this. Let me take it a step further. Have you heard of what placement new is?
What placement new?
Yeah.
No.
Okay. That's critical. And I don't think people are taught that in school. So effectively, what placement new does is it's new, and new actually takes in an argument. The argument new takes is an address where you want to initialize the object that you're creating. And that address is usually like a void pointer or a allocated memory that might have been allocated with something called like std allocator, for example. Yeah. You talked about operating systems. Do you know what virtual and physical memory is?
Physical is like the actual like memory address in RAM, and virtual is just the relative memory. So just like all processes start at 0,
Okay.
or the memory address is 0.
If I was to ask you to build a program and to create a variable on the stack and then output that variable's address, what would that program look like?
So this is to like get a variable and get the memory address.
Yes.
You would just create the variable such as like n is equal to 0, and then you just
Okay.
get the pointer.
Okay.
And then you just print the pointer, which is the memory address.
What would you do to get the pointer?
In C++, you'd use the asterisk, or would use the ampersand.
Okay. And is that ampersand returning a virtual or a physical address?
Ooh, I'm pretty sure. I honestly like this is like a coin flip, but I'm pretty sure it's the is virtual.
Yeah, it's a virtual. So let me ask you this. So first of all, in an interview, don't be so uncertain. You might as well just say virtual, and then in your head be like, shit, I have 50% chance, I have 50% chance. Please be right, please be right. Okay, because if you're uncertain, you say I'm guessing. Just like they're not really going to give you points for it, you know.
Okay.
Yeah. Now let's say I run two programs at the same time. That exact program, I run it at the same time. Okay,
Yeah.
two instances at the same time. Is it ever possible that address that's printed is the same for both?
Yeah, because it's both virtual.
Right. Now, let me ask you this. Is it ever possible two programs share the same physical address?
No.
You sure?
If it's ran at the same time, I don't see how that would be possible.
Think about a way that it can be possible, because it
Oh,
is possible.
if it's literally the same, like the reference or reference value, like same
No,
object. I'm honestly not too sure.
that's okay. So effectively, if it's the same program, it's the same text, or it's the same code, right? So the instructions that are actually being run are the same. And those instructions might be on some physical page somewhere. So they might share the same physical code page just for their instructions. Their data is going to be different because they both have their own stacks and they both allocate X in their own individual stack. But it's possible that their text segments are the exact same because it's the same program being run.
Yeah, that is all interesting stuff. I feel like I definitely missed out on like the being able to like answer these questions with confidence because of my like lack of focus during like during my classes during like operating systems
A
and
way you
stuff.
can make up for that is read the book Operating Systems, Three Easy Pieces.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you worked with C? Like, is malloc familiar to you?
No.
No. Okay. Let me ask you this. You know what a shared pointer is?
A shared pointer, no.
That alone can eliminate you from almost every C++ interview.
A
So
shared
if you
pointer.
don't, yeah.
No, what
So
is a shared
either
pointer?
rewatch this or write that down. Sorry?
No, what is a shared pointer?
It's a memory management construct in which you allocate a single piece of memory that has a reference counter. And when you make copies of that shared pointer, effectively you're incrementing the reference counter. And when the reference counter goes to 0, in other words, all those shared pointers. Can you hear me now?
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
you're back.
Yeah, there's a problem with this Wi-Fi in Greece. It just like disconnects. I think they're late on their debt payments, so I think the Wi-Fi is disconnecting. Have you heard of what Ray is? RAII?
RAII. No, I'm not.
That's critical as well. It's a construct in C++. It's more of like it's more of a not design pattern, but it's more of a pattern of usage for resources that need to be cleaned up. It's called resource acquisition as initialization. Okay. Let me think of some more things that are going to be important. What you mentioned design patterns before. What design patterns are you familiar with?
Yeah. So I personally use a singleton pattern a lot in my development, and I know strategy pattern. I plan on reading the Gang of Four book.
Okay.
Uh, as that's like a big list of mine. And honestly, like I want to know like what's your strategy for reading when learning new technologies from like reading these like CS these like CS like textbooks.
Usually these textbooks are broken down into like four sections. So each chapter is like a tip. At least the good ones. Each chapter is a tip, and each tip is like four sections. So it might give you like getting started, how it works, explanation, and then like more resources. So if I read the getting started and how it works, and I already understand the tip, there's no point for me to like continue reading the how it works, like the detailed, super detailed portion. Um, yeah, it might be nice to know the super detailed portion, and I might kind of like skim through it. But effectively, the most important parts, if anything, are either the first paragraph of a section or the last paragraph of the section. So you don't need to, really read every word. You look at the examples, you read the first couple of sections, you know what's going on already. There's no point of continuously pushing through just for the sake of getting every word under your eye. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
Okay.
definitely fall into the trap of just like trying to read like literally everything because like that's
Yeah.
like the best like the way. So like yeah, like definitely like reading like the most easy to understand like first and then like go down. That sounds like a
Did you
good way
take
of doing it.
did you take any networking classes?
I'm taking networking this semester,
So does that mean you did take it or you're going to take
or
it?
next semester, or like
Okay.
in the spring.
Okay. And you said you're not really familiar with threading. What about inter-process communication? So if I have like a C++ application on server A and I wanted to talk to a C++ application on server B, how do I do that?
Yeah, so I actually typically just use a REST request when doing that sort of stuff like that. But I know there are different protocols like gRPC
Yeah,
that can help make it easier or cost
sure,
less to send these requests.
sure. How do you how do you or what's your familiarity with databases like?
Uh, I would just locally run like a Postgres container,
Okay,
uh,
like a
and
Docker
then I'll
container.
just like and then I just access it with some sort of a simple connection or some sort of like connection API, and
Okay,
then I would just uh, make tables and insert documents or uh, or insert rows.
okay. And so, which familiarities do you said you do have both relational and non-relational
Yeah,
database
yeah, yeah,
experience?
yeah. I have a Postgres and I use a MongoDB, but I haven't used like a cache database like Redis or something
Okay.
similar.
Speaking about cache, because you did operating systems, I want to ask you, what's the cache hierarchy like in a computer?
Are you talking about like CPU cache and then there's
Yeah,
like the RAM cache?
yeah. So what's the
Um,
hierarchy like there?
I know there's L1, L2, L3 in the CPU, which
Okay,
is just like which is the least expensive to get from
okay. And
because it's right next
so
to CPU.
let's stop there for a sec. So what is L1 split into?
That's as far as my knowledge. I don't really know.
Okay. How long did your school spend on caches?
That's what I was getting to. In OS, I didn't go to like any lectures. I just like crammed for the final exams, and then just like one day, just try to learn everything, and then just get
How,
like a C on it, and then just like go out my day.
okay. What
I
strategy
so
did you use
definitely
to
didn't take
cram?
it too seriously. But now like I definitely see the importance now after going into and like starting to take my like career more serious.
Okay.
So that's what I'm on like the transition from like already in college with with internship experience, but but definitely felt like I missed out on like the proper like formal education
Yeah.
my freshman sophomore year.
I mean,
But
it's good
I
that you're
do still
waking
have
up now.
chances to learn. I'm taking databases next semester as well, taking computer network fundamentals. So definitely
Yeah.
looking forward to that.
Yeah. So let me just answer the question so you learn. So it's not just, I don't know, and then we move on. So it's split into two sides. So like there's a data cache and an instruction cache. And with cache, there's something called cache locality. And there's two types of cache localities. Did your professor speak about that?
I'm not too sure.
No? Okay.
I
So
would say no.
effectively, everything that you've ever, all the 2 years you spent partying, you need to effectively relearn.
Yeah.
So operating systems, three easy pieces. The first two parts, you don't need to do the third part. The third part's about like persistent memory. The first two parts, which is virtualization and multi-threading or threading, you need to like read that. And I detailed the exact chapters and pages that are going to be important for you. So once you read that, you'll probably know more than your professor, to be honest.
Yeah.
So that's going to be important. Um, what other questions do you have for me?
Yeah. So definitely the main thing I wanted to go over was with my previous experience, like targeting big tech now, like definitely like being most prepared for my upcoming interview. I have an interview with Bloomberg, and
Okay.
it's gonna be with like a senior engineering manager,
Yeah.
and I want to know like the best ways to prepare for that.
Is he technical or non-technical?
He's technical.
Okay. Um, chat might have some good recommendations as well because so watch this video after the fact because just to read chat. But for now, like what I can tell you is, unfortunately, a lot of these firms are like are lead code brained. So study as hard as you can for your lead code. Now, what's going to be important too is if somebody asks you like, why do you use a map or an unordered? What do you? Sorry, what do you answer lead code in C++?
I do it in Python.
Okay. If somebody asks you like, why do you use a dictionary instead of a list? You need to have an answer. Yeah.
For I know like what you said that like a lot of like the companies are definitely just ask like lead code. I want to know
Yeah.
like the benefit of learning this low level concepts when trying to go for like a big tech role.
Okay, so big tech, they're totally lead code brain rotted in my opinion. So it's very possible that nobody's going to ask you these questions. But if you get on the job and like you have no idea what underflow or overflow is, you have no idea what undefined behavior is as a C++ developer, you're probably going to be gone in 3 months.
Yeah.
So when somebody in common says, bro, nobody asks these type of questions for entry level developer jobs, yeah, maybe for jobs where all you need to know is lead code and you're just essentially a lead code monkey that does not know how to code outside of lead code, yeah, maybe you're right. But if you want to be a strong developer and you want to come in and excel on day one, these are the types of questions you should know. And these are the type of questions serious firms will ask to filter you out really quickly. Because I would rather spend 5 minutes asking somebody how many bits are in a byte than spend 30 minutes going through a lead code medium they might have memorized because they just grinded through lead code. Because if you don't know how many bits are in a byte, it's almost done for you.
Yeah.
And that's in the first 30 seconds. I already know it's over.